Phoenix police are searching for leads in the murder of a 17-year-old girl.
An innocent bystander in a drive-by shooting.
The family of a murdered Phoenix teacher has a glimmer of hope to get some justice.
Happy birthday, dear Destiny. Happy birthday to you.
She was born on the day after Thanksgiving. Quickly, she gave her family so much to be grateful for, named after the word defined as a predetermined course of events.
My name is Brenda Gilliam Miller, and my daughter is Destiny McClain.
For Brenda, Destiny came into this world with an unconditional love that shined brighter than the sun.
Destiny was always a very free spirit. She was extremely friendly. So Destiny met no strangers. Everybody she met was her friend. She was an extremely nurturing person. She was always caring, wanting to help and take care of, even if it was animals, just people. She's been that way since she was a baby, just wanting to take care of everybody and everything. My baby was chunky. She didn't start walking until after she was 1 because she just didn't care. She was just such a bright light. You would just see her and you couldn't have a bad day between her smile and just her goofy personality. She was just somebody that you could have the worst day and just see her and you knew everything was going to be okay. This was first day of school. I believe it was her senior year.
Looking back is bittersweet for Brenda, knowing Destiny never deserved her fate. Unlike most 23-year-olds, Destiny would much rather have a movie night at home than go out to bars. But on July 17, 2021, she planned to meet up with some friends in Phoenix. Such a rare occasion that Destiny booked it on her calendar weeks prior. This is the last time Brenda saw her daughter leave their Glendale home, captured on Ring video. Destiny gets in an Uber, but never comes home. Brenda woke up later that night to a missed call.
So when I realized she called me, I called her back. It was around 2:30 in the morning, and at that time she told me it was an accident, and she sounded like she was having a good time. So I went back to sleep. About 5:30, I get up, and my other daughter, Essence, was wandering through the house looking for Destiny. She asked me if I had spoken with Destiny, and I told her I'd spoken with her maybe a couple hours ago, and that she was fine. She was concerned because she said Destiny was supposed to send her her location and let her know when she was on her way home, and she never did that.
But Brenda could see Destiny's cell phone location near 16th Street and McDowell Road. It never moved.
I couldn't go to bed because I just couldn't go to sleep until I knew she had read my message. So I decided I was going to go track her phone and to her location.
Destiny was here. The young woman, described as a homebody, wrapped up her night with a friend at a club called Caramba, and it's the parking lot next to it where her life ended. Juan Polito was with Destiny that night. They were co-workers at Amazon. After leaving Carambas, they got in line outside at a food truck just before 3:30 in the morning. Destiny simply wanted a quesadilla.
I'm counting the money to pay her, and I literally this is me just doing that. And when I did that, I heard the gunshots on my right. Like, there was multiple gunshots. People, like, whoever was out here was running. The food truck lady, everybody just started running. People got under their cars.
Juan knows he's lucky to be alive. What happened next is still traumatic.
When I start hearing the gunshots, all I feel her is just pull me from my shoulder, and I fall down with her. And then I see her and just...
Destiny was hit by a stray bullet. Bystanders tried to help as Juan called 911. Later that morning, as the investigation continued, he says he waited in the Phoenix PD Mobile Command Unit, hoping for a miracle.
I'm in there, and one of the officers walks in and says, she didn't make it. And I just lost everything. I was like, how do you say goodbye to someone that you don't want to say goodbye to? You know? How do you do that? that.
It was also a devastating night for Brenda, recalling the path she took to find her daughter.
But I try not to go to that area too much. So this is where I was when that feeling just hit me. I had no clue why. I just had that eerie feeling, like this feeling of dread. As I pull up to the location, I see crime scene tape. So at this point, my heart drops. I pull over to the side. There's an officer out there telling me that I can't be there.
Brenda showed Phoenix police a photo of Destiny. This mom was now on the scene of a drive-by shooting investigation, and her daughter was the victim.
Hearing a detective tell you that your child is gone is just so unreal. It's not something you'd ever expect. Everything's in slow motion, like an out-of-body experience, because you just really can't comprehend what they're saying to you. So it took a while for it to even sink in what they were saying, because I just couldn't even comprehend it. Because as a parent, you never think that it's going to be your child.
She was standing here waiting for food in front of a taco truck right here.
Not doing anything.
How are you feeling right now standing here, just so close to it all?
For me, it's a struggle because, like I said, I've seen footage of seeing where her body was laying, you know, and try not to cry. You know, I didn't even want to come here initially, like right after, because I was scared I'd see her blood on the ground. So for me, it's hard because this is the last place my child was. You know, this is the last place she was seen alive, this is the last place she was alive.
Once the shock settles and reality sets in,
police are searching for the shooter who killed a woman ordering food from a food truck.
There's the aftermath.
Just knowing that you're never going to see that person again, it's like you can't breathe, you can't catch your breath, and you just don't even know how you're going to go forward. So it's like, I can't even explain it because you don't even understand how you can just continue with your life after that.
Police aren't sure if the shooting was random or perhaps a more targeted attack.
Sergeant Brian Bauer with the Phoenix Police Department's Public Affairs Bureau. I also coordinate all the Silent Witness events that take place throughout Maricopa County.
Silent Witness is an organization with the database for anonymous tips linked to felony crimes across the valley. Those tips can pay in thousands of dollars if information leads to an arrest or an indictment. Destiny's murder is sadly one of too many in the nation's fourth largest county by population size.
So there's nothing that our investigators have evidentiary-wise to show that she was the target of this particular shooting, but that doesn't mitigate the fact that the detectives are going to do everything they possibly can to try to identify who was responsible. This case is very unique because all we have to go off of is a vehicle.
And the video of the suspect vehicle believed to be involved is not very clear in detail. The make and model unknown. What's obvious is that it's a four-door dark-colored sedan.
I can't even tell you the number of times I've watched that video, how many times I've gone back and looked at that photo. I've zoomed in, I've zoomed out, I've tried to figure out if there's any way that I could clear it up to make it any clearer, trying to figure out if there's different types of software that can be used to at least bring in a plate where we can view the plate. Nothing has come from it. I just need answers.
One of the things that our detectives do on all the cases is they try to see if there's a correlation between this crime and other crimes that may have also occurred with similar vehicles.
Images of the suspect vehicle were first released less than a month after Destiny's murder. Now, more than 3 years later, no new leads have been uncovered.
The aftermath, it's extremely hard because initially everybody's reaching out, whether it's news stations, people, loved ones just reaching out to you, goes right back to Groundhog Day. Everybody else has moved on with their lives and people aren't calling anymore, and you're still stuck in this just hole, a dark pit, and you just can't seem to find your way out of it.
Here's the harsh reality for Phoenix police. The makeup of the homicide unit consists of 54 people, and the cold case team has 8 of them. 1 sergeant, 3 detectives, a crime analyst, assistant, and 2 civilian investigators, who are former detectives.
We'd always love to have more people. We understand that that's not necessarily a possibility, and especially in today's job market, there's just not a lot of people that want or have that ambition, that calling to become police officers.
According to Phoenix PD, there's been an average of 204 homicides a year from 2020 through 2023. Data from 2011 through 2019 reveal an average of 130 homicides per year.
At this point, I just want to know who.
Losing hope in finding Destiny's killer is an ongoing battle for Brenda, but she's also expanded her mission, now focused on her daughter's legacy as much as justice. Brenda started the Our Destiny, Our Future Foundation, which awards scholarships to students working hard on their education while making a positive impact in their communities. The foundation does back-to-school drives and Christmas toy drives to help the less fortunate youth. And you can find Destiny's memorial right in her front yard.
I was out here talking to my neighbor the other day. You know, I had the shade, but it is peaceful.
Sitting with Brenda, you do sense just that. Peace. Under a glowing tree, there are remnants of who Destiny was. Stories behind the trinkets, like her beloved Winnie the Pooh. And everyone that loved Destiny knew her favorite color was green.
I'm just still decorating to get it where I want it to be, because I want to do a bench. I want to also add a fountain, and then I'm going to start planting flowers.
To lose the child you raised, to experience a pain you could never imagine. How does one really move on? Instead, Brenda is moving forward to find her own destiny.
As hard as it was to lose Destiny, through losing Destiny, I found my purpose.
The saying goes, when you know, you know.
My name is Joan Barajas, and I was the partner of David Denogean for over 3 years.
That intuition that you found your person, maybe your soulmate.
David and I met on Tinder, and it was September 2019, and we went on our first date out in Phoenix. We went out to a restaurant. We were having a good time, so we decided to go out to Cobra Arcade. We played some video games against each other. It was really fun because we were both like really competitive, and so we got to kind of see that nature in each other, and it just jived really well.
Like the world has opened all its doors, even with a new romance in the midst of a global pandemic.
We just kept going on more dates from there, and the rest is history.
Love won for Jordan Barajas and David Denogean, blooming within these walls. And you can't forget their dog, Evie.
He would look at me and he's just like, don't you love our home? And I'm like, I do love our home. So it just became a very special place for the three of us.
My name is Frank Denogean, and my son is David Denogean.
A son following the footsteps of his parents, both educators. 30-year-old David was a substitute teacher and a track coach at Camelback High School in Phoenix.
David really enjoyed history, government, so being a teacher was natural for him, and the coaching aspect, I think, just followed along with that.
My name is Judy Denogean, and I'm the mother of David Denogean. He was very excited about helping the youth, and he used to talk about his kids all the time, you know, and it made me feel good because I know I used to come home and sometimes talk about some of my kids, and Frank the same.
David grew up as the oldest of three, played multiple sports, described as the biggest kid. His interests in video games and anime. Family was everything. David had become a new uncle to his brother's baby girl.
David was just more than just cool. He just was everything. He was Big Dave.
It was Black Friday, November 25th, 2022. David decided not to go to his parents' home to watch ASU play U of A for the Territorial Cup.
He said, but I'll be here for Saturday for leftovers. So I said, okay, we'll see you then. But he never made it to Saturday.
Instead, he went to a local pub to watch the World Cup, came home for a nap, and then took Evie for a walk that Friday evening. Jordan and David lived in a north central Phoenix neighborhood near 12th Street and Bethany Home Road. The walking route never changed much, but Jordan was surprised to find her dog outside their home just after 6 p.m. without David.
I just see Evie standing in the middle of the pathway without her harness on and with the gate wide open. I saw that and was like, did they go on their walk? Like, did I imagine them leaving?
Then Jordan heard sirens.
I just walk over with a sinking feeling in my stomach. And I walk over to the scene. I ask them what's going on. They say that there's been a shooting.
David and Evie were on the sidewalk outside of Feeney's restaurant and bar.
Some guy came out from behind him and shot him multiple times and took off.
The autopsy report revealed he was shot around 12 times, mainly in his chest and legs. Family members rushed to John C. Lincoln Hospital, hearing that David's body was taken there.
And we're sitting in the hospital and our phones are blowing up from people who had been alerted that David had been shot, and to pray for him and to not even get word from anybody. Obviously, and I'll reiterate that I know there's a protocol that they can't tell you until somebody officially announces it, but I mean, someone knew, but we didn't, and that was very disturbing.
Frank says they waited with no confirmation from police that David was even the victim.
I believe it was a detective and another officer came in the room, and they just said, we're sorry your son didn't make it. And then I'm saying, what do you mean my son? Here you're telling me you couldn't tell me it was my son, but now you're telling me that my son is dead.
Hearing that news broke everyone, right? I don't think I can get the cries that everyone made out of my ears.
David was gone, and in the aftermath of his murder, Jordan would be hit with overwhelming waves of grief.
I remember the first 2 weeks after he died, I didn't want to leave the house because this was our home and our space that we created. He was just so proud of the space and the home that he made for me and Evie, and not only how it was decorated, but all the love that was put into it, all the meals that he cooked for us here. I just couldn't fathom leaving my home the first 2 weeks because it was my tether to him.
Jordan and Evie moved in with her mother for some time, hoping to heal. But that part seemed impossible.
Personally, I think the reason I'm still here is because of my mom. During the time of the funeral and a couple weeks after, I began to have suicidal ideation. I never experienced such pain before, and with someone who is so deeply integrated into my future. So to imagine a future without them at the time seemed impossible.
So what was the motive in this murder? David didn't have any enemies that his family knows of, nor did he have any criminal history at all. There were no reports of an attempted robbery or a fight leading up to this. So why did someone just brazenly run up on David and kill him in such a public place?
I believe my brother was at the wrong place, the wrong time. Could have been anyone, and it just sucks that it was him. And, I wouldn't wish this upon anyone.
When Frank and I are driving around or we're coming home or whatever, and we see someone walking their dog, and we both look at each other and we just say, look, what a simple thing. Someone was just walking their dog. And that dog gave my son so much joy.
2022 saw the most homicides for the city of Phoenix over a 13-year period, with 223 in all. David's murder was one of them.
It was a selfish crime, it was a cowardly crime, and it's one of those crimes that we know somebody out there has some information.
Sergeant Brian Bauer's job is to work with the media and public to gather more tips that can turn into real leads. It took more than a month after David was killed for police to release a blurry image of the suspect.
The family of a murdered Phoenix teacher has a glimmer of hope to get some justice.
Another month passed before authorities released surveillance video of the shooting. A security camera from a nearby parking lot captures a man run behind David before cutting in front of him. The suspect pulls out a gun and opens fire at close range as Evie watches. But the footage is blurry, and facial features are hard to make out. Police describe the shooter as a white or Hispanic man wearing dark clothing.
This person did what they did, and like my dad said, they hurt our family really bad.
The suspect ran off long before police arrived.
Several pieces of evidence were collected on the scene where we're awaiting DNA analysis. We're waiting for that comparison to come up, and without that information, our detectives have no further information to go off of.
But it's been more than 2 years. If this case officially goes cold, Phoenix PD's 54-person homicide unit only has 8 people assigned to cold cases.
I just feel bad for them that they don't have the resources, they don't have the manpower to put all their efforts into finding the people they need to find.
As of June 2024, Phoenix PD staff had a little more than 2,500 sworn officers, nearly 600 short of its goal.
I just hope and pray that someone out there knows what happened and their conscience overcomes whatever, and they think, you know what, I got to do the right thing. I've got to let them know what I know.
In the months following the loss of David, not even his dog was spared from grief.
You could see in her face, she knew what happened. She knew that David wasn't coming home, and that was her person, that was her owner, and she had to watch him get shot, and it happened so suddenly. She didn't get to do anything. And so obviously she has a lot of trauma, and I'm very thankful that since then we're getting better. We're both healing.
Sometimes when wounds heal, scars are left behind. A mark that David left on his loved ones won't be going away.
It's been hard. So that's what I just miss. I miss his presence, just his overall personality. He was just larger than life.
He was always his authentic self. I don't think it was his time to go. At least I know that he left putting 100% into everything he did.
An unjust pain that lingers each day.
Something that you would want anybody ever to experience. Like we say, it's a cross we got to carry for the rest of our life till we see him again. There's no way to describe how much we miss him.
She was 17 years old. Her bedroom is still intact. Her sanctuary untouched. The makeup, clothes, and shoes all in place. It's like Itzel Espinoza never left. Something her family would like to believe.
I'm Eduardo Espinoza, and Itzel Espinoza, she's my daughter.
Itzel aspired to be a social media influencer. Her Instagram following showed she was on track, although her dad, Eduardo, reminded her to focus on her studies.
My daughter was kind of like the center of attention, and her lifestyle, she was kind of like, in a way, kind of blindfolded by her lifestyle.
Itzel was about to enter her senior year at Dysart High School in El Mirage, but Eduardo says she started hanging around the wrong crowd. After a night of not being able to reach Itzel on the phone, Eduardo reported her missing to police.
I was waiting, and she never replied.
On the morning of July 3rd, 2021, news came out of Phoenix.
Phoenix police are searching for leads in the murder of a 17-year-old girl. The victim found shot to death in a car over the weekend.
The car did not belong to Itzel, but it's where someone found her in the passenger seat around 5:30 in the morning. The alley near 35th Avenue and Southern transformed into a crime scene.
I was kind of like in denial because I was like, no, if it would have been her, they would be saying, a teenager, because she was a teenager still. But one of the first articles of news I heard, they were talking about like having they finding a woman in a vehicle in an alley. Deep down inside, I already knew it was, my daughter, but I didn't want to believe it.
Someone had abandoned Itzel in a stolen Lexus, left to die The root of her senseless murder was a fight with another girl who police later identified as Lindsay Aguilar.
They connected that night through somehow, I guess you want to call it so, mutual friends. We're like not really friends, but I guess mutual people that were hanging out at the moment of the incident.
Police say there had been previous issues brewing between Itzel and Lindsay, who was 18 then. Court documents say on the night of the murder, the two teens got into a physical fight. Itzel ran to a parked car close by, got inside, and locked the door.
She got into confrontation with this person, and then she called it quits, and then she kind of got away from the situation, removed herself from that area, but then, like this girl, you know, she, for whatever reason, she wanted some more, and she took it to the streams.
Investigators say Lindsay followed, banged on the window, demanding for Itzel to come out. But there was another person involved, 19-year-old Jesus Padilla. He was supposed to be Itzel's friend, but he handed Lindsay a 9mm handgun at her request. Police say she then fired into the front passenger window several times, killing Itzel.
We know where Lindsay is. We believe she's somewhere in Mexico. We're working with federal partners. We're also working with local Mexican authorities to try to identify where she is.
After leaving the scene, police say she fled the country for Mexico. Investigators described her as 5'3", 110 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. Her appearance 3 years ago.
She may be going under a different alias. She may have changed her appearance. Those are all possibilities. But the one thing that we want to dig in on is we need to identify where she is and hold her accountable for this violent murder.
As for Jesus Padilla, he was held accountable for the murder. He took a plea deal, and in July of 2023, he was sentenced to 13 years for reckless manslaughter. He's now here at the Lewis prison. During Padilla's sentencing, Itzel's family members read their victim impact statements.
Before she was killed, she posted on Snapchat, this was her brother. I didn't understand that because she've only known him a few months. A week later, he's doing nothing, standing there watching as Lindsay Aguilar is beating her.
So yeah, I could easily say I lost my daughter, but it's not just me losing my daughter, it's like everyone losing her.
Family, friends come around, but her room is empty. I can't hear her laughs, her music.
Court records reveal Padilla had committed armed robbery a little more than a month before Itzel's death.
We know that from the first case in May, where he and his friend went over and robbed the victim in that case, basically took his gun from them and pointed it at him and threatened him if he didn't turn over other property. He was living like a jackal.
He was given a 7.5-year concurrent sentence for that crime.
And I wanted to look at you in the eye to tell you right now that what you did was wrong, straight up.
While the defendant was not the person who actually pulled the trigger, he was the person who handed the gun over to the person who actually pulled the trigger, a woman named Lindsay Aguilar.
Padilla admitted to handing Lindsay the gun that took an innocent girl's life and instructing a 16-year-old boy to drive off with Itzel and to leave her body in that car.
I want to apologize to both her and her family for what happened the morning of July 3rd, and I send my heart out to the family and apologize for the damage I've done or allowed to happen. Itzel never deserved this. She was one of a kind, and I truthfully don't think words can possibly describe how wonderful and amazing she really was.
According to Phoenix police data, the department's average homicide clearance rate is 72% from 2009 through 2024. Important to note, homicides from months or years prior that are finally solved reflect clearance when cases are officially closed. In 2023, Phoenix PD reached its highest clearance rate in 10 years, 87%. But Itzel's case is not closed yet, despite Padilla's conviction. As police say, Aguilar is still on the run.
And that's what we're asking right now for family and friends of Lindsay is, you know what she did was wrong. She needs to stand trial. She needs to speak to us. She needs to speak to the community and tell everybody why she did what she did. This is a 17-year-old that lost her life for no reason.
This is our little thing we do every day.
Every day, Eduardo and his family make this short drive from home to where they feel closest to Itzel.
Like, she was a girly girl, so we tried to keep her area clean and decorated and, you know, keep it up to date.
They keep her gravesite and headstone clean, surrounded by decorations. They sit here, day or night, to sense some sort of peace. Eduardo knows he has more leads than other victims' families, a face and a name of someone allegedly responsible for taking his daughter's life. But until the arrest of the primary suspect is made, justice for Itzel has not been served completely.
It's like a pain never goes away. You have to kind of learn how to live with it.